Alright, hello everyone. My name is Tyler. I'm one of the co-founders here at Truffle Shuffle. I will be your chef for today's recipe, right? And so we wanted to get this recipe going. This is going to be the pizza dough for our Chicago style deep dish pizza. Alright, so if you're doing the live class, you want to get this going about 2 hours before the class starts. That way it has time to proof and the yeast has time to activate. Okay, so we're going to bust out that recipe card, okay, that we sent to all of you. And you'll see under that section there will be a 2 hours before the class section. That's exactly where we're going to go to, right? So for this, we're going to need that 1 cup of warm water, okay? I just have it right here in my small sauce pot, okay? We're going to need our olive oil, a little bit of instant yeast, okay? Instantaneous. We've got some semolina. That's a pretty traditional, traditionally included in like a Chicago style dough. A lot of times they put semolina in there. It gives it a different mouthfeel, okay? And then we also have our flour, salt, and sugar together, okay? So this is the basic ingredients we're gonna need to make this pizza dough. So we're gonna go right to step 1, right? We're gonna place all of that water, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and place half of my olive oil in this pot as well. Okay, and so if your olive oil is just a little bit solidified, that's no problem whatsoever, right? The more solidified the olive oil is, if it's cold, it actually denotes quality in the olive oil, right? That means that the purity is higher. So what we're gonna do over here is I'm gonna heat this up over low heat, right? And we're not looking to boil it. Right? Very important. Not looking to boil it. We're just looking to warm up the water. Okay? And so the reason why we're doing this is because yeast is a living thing, right? And, you know, just like humans, yeast has a temperature range that it likes to exist at, right? And honestly, it's very similar to our body temperature, right? Which is whatever it is, 98 point something. And so yeast, if the temperature of wherever they're in is over like 115 degrees, the yeast actually starts to die, right? So you don't want that water to be hot. You literally can take your finger as the temperature gauge, right? And test it, all right? And basically we're just looking for that water to gently warm up, okay? And so if you do this recipe and you don't warm up the water, it'll still work, right? It's just that it won't go as quickly, okay? Because yeast is really active at that like basically like 100-degree temperature range, right? So I'm feeling over here, I can just start to feel this water getting warm, right? So I'm gonna turn the heat off, okay? So you see that right there, again, there's no steam whatsoever. Just nicely warmed, okay? And I got that olive oil in there as well. All right, so now we're gonna go to step 2. We're just gonna remove a little bit of bench flour. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here, grab that flour that we sent to you. We're using 00 flour, which is a really nice pasta flour to use because it's ground much finer than all-purpose. And it really hydrates a lot better, yields a much smoother, like silkier dough, okay? So go to step 2, grab a 1/4 cup measure, right? And just remove a 1/4 cup from that little bag, okay? Set it off to the side, all right? So at this stage, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my little mixing bowl, all right? And I'm gonna go ahead and place all of that semolina in there, okay? Again, semolina being that much harder style of wheat, all right? Get that in there. We got, we're gonna go ahead and add half of our flour, okay? And we also have that kosher salt and sugar in there, in that recipe as well, all right? So I got half my 00 flour in here. We've got our salt and our kosher salt and our sugar in here as well, okay? And then I'm also going to add our yeast, all right? And so here we're using instant yeast, right? So We're just gonna come over here, one packet, right, directly in. And so yeast, you know, is naturally present in the air anytime. So if you've ever heard of like sourdough before, that's yeast that's wild, right? Those are wild yeast that's naturally present in the air. Something like this is a dry instant yeast, okay? So the next item I'm gonna come over here and do is I'm gonna add my water and that little bit of olive oil, okay? And the reason why I like to just start with half the flour at first is because it allows us to really make sure that we're working the dough into almost a paste without any lumps before going into the next move. So I'm gonna come over here, grab a little wooden spoon, mix up my flour, right, with my semolina and yeast, okay? And so, once I got that all mixed together, I'm just gonna come over here, right? And what I like to do is actually place a little towel underneath my bowl, right? And I just like to slowly mix that water into that flour, okay? So again, just using my spoon, moving it around, right, getting it mixed up, okay? Coming here, adding the rest of that mixture, all right? And really just looking to make sure that everything is nicely incorporated, right? Nice. So I got all this together, right? I got that paste formed over there, right? What I'm gonna do next is come in here and just sprinkle the rest of that flour on top of this dough, okay? So, over here, grab the rest of that flour, get it on top, right? Perfect. And then just stir that flour into that dough over there, okay? And so, you really want to use that spoon almost like a dough hook, right? If you've ever used like an electric mixer before, it's got that little dough hook attachment. And just kind of go around the bowl in circles, right? Until you form that nice shaggy looking dough, okay? To get that nice shaggy looking dough formed, okay? And so you can see over here, the majority of that water has been absorbed by the flour, okay? And so I'm just gonna come over here, clean off my spoon, right? And this next step, personally, I like to work directly on my countertop, right? So I'm just gonna remove my bowl, right? Place my cutting board off to the side. And what I like to do is now start working with my hands and just kind of work that dough in the bowl just a little bit. Kind of fold it over, press it down, right? You want that dough to be just warm, okay? My dough over here, it's not hot, right? It's not cold, it's just warm, which is the perfect temperature, all right, for that dough to be at, okay? So, I got my dough nicely formed up, right? Everything in my bowl. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start kneading my dough. And this is super important. Really make sure we got that nice smooth dough, and it gives it that texture, that nice chewiness and crunchiness that you're looking for with pizza dough. So to do that, I'm not gonna use any extra flour, right? I'm just gonna come over here, fold the dough in half, and roll it forward, okay? And then bring it back, turn it, fold it, and roll it, right? And then just continue on with that process, all right? for about 5 minutes, okay? And we're really just bringing the dough together at this stage, all right? And just really making sure everything is incorporated, right? So we got our flour in there, our semolina, that warm water, right? That yeast. And so I'm gonna need this for about 5 minutes, right? And you guys will see over here how the dough is gonna transform with that amount of kneading that's going into it. All right. So beautiful. Nice. And you can start to see as you knead that dough like that, that structure starts to come together, right? Really start to get that dough a little bit smoother, right? This dough feels really nice. And you can do this with a machine if you want, right? A lot of recipes call do it in a machine, but you know, something that we really like to do with these classes, we always like to show how to do things by hand. Because every time you understand how to do something by hand from start to finish, adding a machine will just make it easier, right? But if you do it by hand, you really understand the why behind what you're doing, which is honestly the most important part. Because if you know the why, you can always change the how. So over here, I've got this dough kneaded up. It's looking excellent, right? You can see right here, looking absolutely stunning, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is just clean this bowl out real quick, and then we're gonna get this get this dough in our bowl to rest and actually proof, okay? So I'm just gonna clean this bowl out real quick. I'll be right back. All right, so now I got my dough, right? Looking beautiful, right? Got my nice clean bowl. What I want you to do is just take a little bit of all of that olive oil, right? Just a little bit. Just place it right into that bowl, all right? And what we're gonna do is just get a little bit of oil on top and on bottom of this ball of dough, okay? So come in here, get some a little bit on the top, right? Get some oil on the sides as well. Place some on the bottom, okay? And what that oil does is really help make sure that the dough doesn't form a skin, right? Which is super important when you're working with dough, because you don't want those little pockets of dried dough. That happens if you let it form a skin and then roll it out, okay? So at this point, we're coming down to step 8. We're gonna wrap this up in a little bit of plastic wrap, okay? Again, to make sure that we're not getting that skin on top of that dough, all right? So come over here, wrap that bowl up, okay? And what I want you to do is go ahead and set this in a warm place, okay, in your kitchen. And again, we did this a couple hours before the class, so that way your dough will be nice and ready, and you want it to be basically doubled in size by the time the class starts, okay? So, as you can see over here, I got my dough. A great place to leave it is right on your countertop. Another great place to leave it is if you turn your oven on in your kitchen and you leave it on the countertop next to your oven. That's a really good spot too, because the oven will kind of warm that area up just with ambient heat, okay? So, what we want to do is go ahead, leave that guy right on the countertop and wait for it to double in size. All right. So now we have let the dough proof, okay? You can see over here it's doubled in size, looking beautiful, right? Nice and airy and fluffy, okay? And so there you have it. We have our dough completely ready to go and ready to get cooking with you soon. So see you guys soon.